full, fair, and truthful disclosure. And this puts the investors who watch your program in a better position. That's our basic bargain. They were not complying with that basic law.
And there you have it from the chairman of the SEC, Gary Gensler. And what he's talking about is Kraken. That's the latest in the crypto news. The SEC has dropped the gauntlet, dropped the hammer down on the crypto exchange Kraken. If you haven't heard about this, make sure you watch this video until the end, because we'll be going over this in detail and getting more from Gary before the end of this video. Before we get to any of that, make sure you go ahead and check us out at Bitcoin Bros 26. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and show us some love. We appreciate all the support from each and every one of you. We do this every single day for you. And taking a look at the Bitcoin price, you did see we had a pullback. And why this happened, we'll talk about that. We'll look at the charts. But the price right now is at 21.6. We went up to almost over 24,000, but now we're back down. Looking at the charts, we see that Bitcoin is still in this downwards wedge pattern. And this is a bullish pattern, believe it or not. Now, the question is Bitcoin going to break this pattern, or is this going to come down and have this one last test before it then rips to the upside? Because the technical target for this pattern is actually the previous all-time high, around $70,000. So how long will it take Bitcoin to break? Will this come down, touch that $12,000 mark? That could, because as you see, there's a lot of confluence, a lot of support for this area as a retest. Then we come back up, break out of this, potentially come back and flip this from resistance to support before working our way up towards that $70,000 threshold. Maybe come back and retest it before we ultimately see that blow off top. That's how the price action could play out. Not guaranteed, but all in all, this pattern is a bullish pattern, and we showed you that technical target. El Crypto Prof thinks so as well. 11 days later, and it follows the structure perfectly. Imagine Bitcoin following the gold pattern of 2019. A small pullback before a big, fun run begins. $30,000 would be the first milestone. This is what they're showing right here. Gold did this back in 2019, and if you look at these charts, you see a double bottom putting in a higher low, a blast off to an ultimate peak, a downward resistance into a bear market, and then an ultimate blast off until we see higher price action. So this could be what's in the cards for Bitcoin. We just showed you this on the charts, but looking at Bitcoin on the weekly chart on the super guppy indicator, as you see, every time we're in these downwards areas, we see the gray, and then we flip back green. That's when we get bullish. We haven't flipped back green yet. We are still in the red, but if we zoom into the price action, we see some of these lines are turning gray. Now we just have to have a continuation. How low we go, we come back lower and retest lower levels. It's a possibility before we ultimately get back above this. Once this flips green, it's definitely going to be off to the races. Crypto Prof talked about this as well. He's saying, I really think that 25,000 is like a magnet for Bitcoin. But then it gets really interesting. In Bitcoin's history, the slow EMAs, which are the gray bands, in the CM Guppy indicator have always been the most significant resistance. Rejection, goodbye to the downside, breakthrough, incredible FOMO. So once we get back above that level again, that's when you'll want to be in the game full throttle. Back to what we were talking about, the SEC signals a crackdown on another crypto practice. Cryptocurrency executives worry that charges against Kraken, a popular exchange over the business known as staking, would further chill their industry. So the SEC is cracking down on staking. What does this mean long-term for crypto? Do they not want staking on Coinbase anymore? Do they not want earn programs that Coinbase, Gemini, and other exchanges, some that have filed bankruptcy over the past 6 months? And if they do allow it, what type of regulatory oversight is going to be had? No one really knows what this means, but this is the latest in the news. Ether loses build as crypto investors weigh the future of staking after Kraken Exchange's SEC settlement. So what does this mean for Ethereum? Those that know about Ethereum 2.0, a lot of people had to stake their Ethereum to get those staking rewards. So will this disrupt Ethereum's ecosystem, or is this just some type of backhand play from the SEC? everybody can speculate. No one really knows what the underlying reasoning behind this is. You can see that they did reach a settlement agreement with Kraken, $30 million. But without further ado, let's hear from the chairman of the SEC, Gary Gensler, and get his take on what's going on with Kraken and why the SEC decided to crack down.
So for those who are uninitiated into what happened here, tell it to me like I'm five. What was Kraken doing, and what was the problem that you were trying to solve?
Andrew, what Kraken was doing was asking the American public for their coins, crypto tokens, and saying, I'll give you a return, 4% to 21% returns. And the problem was they were not disclosing to the investing public the risks that the investing public was entering into. And we have a basic bargain in the United States since the 1930s. You can take whatever risks you want. Companies like Kraken can offer investment contracts and investment schemes, but they have to have full, fair, and truthful disclosure. And this puts the investors who watch your program in a better position. That's our basic bargain. They were not complying with that basic law. Long ago, Supreme Court Justice Marshall said this so eloquently. It's not about the labels, it's about the underlying economics. This really should put everyone on notice in this marketplace, whether you call it lend, whether you call it earn, whether you call it yield, whether you offer what's called an annual percentage yield, APY, that doesn't matter. If somebody's taking their tokens and transferring it to that platform, the platform controls it. And guess what happens if they go bankrupt? You stand in line at the bankruptcy court. There's a saying in crypto that says, not your keys, not your coins. So those other platforms should take note of this and seek to come into compliance, do the proper disclosures and registration and the like.
This staking service is going to no longer be available to customers in the U.S. But interestingly, they're going to still offer the same product internationally, abroad, outside of the United States. And so it raises this larger policy question as to whether crypto, these types of products just move offshore. Maybe that's what you want, and that's a good thing. But then whether what you do about the American citizenry who's then using VPNs and all sorts of other things to skirt around what's happening here.
Look, we're technology neutral at the SEC, but we're clearly very focused on investor protection. 330 million Americans are our clients. These firms, Kraken knew how to register, others know how to register. It's just a form on our website. They can come in, talk to our talented people in disclosure review teams, and if they want to offer staking, we're neutral. Come in, register, because investors need that disclosure. What are you doing with the tokens? Are you trading against the tokens? Are you borrowing against the token? Are you using them for your own purposes? And we've seen this in the crypto field. So investors not only need that disclosure, but it's the law.
And there you have it from Gary Gensler. He's explaining that Kraken could have came to us and registered appropriately, but they didn't. They didn't follow the law. So what is this going to mean long-term for the crypto space? And is it going to have any downstream impact for any big ecosystems like Ethereum? You be the judge. Please leave your comments below. And with that, I'm Sean with the Bitcoin Bros. If you guys like this content, go ahead and smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and show us some love. We appreciate the support. With that, that's all I have for you today. Until next time.